Good morning, lovely people. Yeah, no, hello. Good morning. I need to finish this finally. So the progress on this is much slower than I actually want to or anticipated, just because I cannot find time. Like I'm doing online tuning sessions, I'm doing videos, I'm doing that kind of stuff, and I don't have time for my system. So yesterday I had some time, so I installed one audio widebands in there. I replaced my Alpine HDZs with these because I want to test these. I want to see how they sound like. But in order to do that, I need some amplification. So, plan for today. I want to trim this, all of this, but in order to do that, I need to leave some gaps because now, like this one is very, very tight. So I need to just a little bit enlarge this just to have a gap so I could trim it because I have some material from China. It's very, very cheap. So I'm going to trim that board, put it in, and it's going to be set. I will have to try to trim this one, but then I think I will need some gap there because probably it's not going to close. I don't know, we'll see. And after the trimming is done, then I can potentially start wiring and everything. So actually before the trimming, I need to make holes for the RCAs to go down and for the power cables from the amplifiers to go down as well. So I just need to locate a strategic location and drill some holes and then take everything apart and trim it. Okay, so the trimming is done for one piece only. So I use this vinyl, the same that I used in the Honda Jazz. I have a big massive roll of it from China and it is crinkly. It doesn't look that great, but to be honest, it's gonna be fine. So yeah, just from one side. So one piece is done just like that. There we go. So I just need to trim that MDF as well. I did make some slots. So this is going to be for the power cable for the amplifier. This is going to be for the RCAs. They're going to go from the DSP back down for those. And this is for the other power. And now I'm just not sure, should I trim the bottom piece as well? Because like here, when you put it like this, you don't see it at all. Probably I'm not going to trim it at all. I'm just going to trim the top one under the DSP. And I think that's going to be it. Because, yeah, you cannot see anything like this unless you go like that. Yeah, it's pointless. It's not worth trimming the top. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it like this. I like how it looks like. Everything is back. It's all black. It looks more it doesn't look factory, but it looks more premium. So we do have these crinkles from the actual vinyl, but I don't really care. It's just because it's going to be hidden everything anyway. It's just to look a little bit better than bare wood. But yeah, looks nice. Now I just need to put everything, all the gear back on those boards, and then I can start wiring. Nice. The amplifiers are screwed in, the DSP is in, everything is fine. And now I'm just measuring up a little bit the wires. So the wires, I'm gonna make them nicer, but for now, just to see how it looks like there, I'm gonna have those RCAs as I mentioned here. I'm gonna open it just like that. Yeah, so it's gonna go there. There's some space, everything. I was thinking to drill holes here just to run it through the wood, but then I thought it's like, what's the point? Because when I'm gonna close it like that, you're not going to see much anyway. So even if the wires are going to go down there, it's totally fine. It's not that visible. And I might cover it. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, something like this. Then the fuse blocks. So I'm going to have this one going to this one. And these fuse blocks, I love them. I did buy them on AliExpress. And the main reason why I bought them is because of the bolts. So I can use actual lugs instead of the ferrules, because I don't really like the ferrules. Nothing wrong with ferrules, but I don't really like it. I still feel that lugs give a much better connection. So I can use the lugs for everything. So this is going to be positive side to the battery, to the DC-DC charger, and all 4 amplifiers. And the only thing that I'll need is to find power for the DSP. And I'm thinking to grab it from the other side of the DC-DC charger because it's going to be directly connected to the battery, kind of. So it will have its own fuse and it's going to be just simple. But yeah, something like this. All the other wires I'm thinking to run over there and around the battery from the bottom, just because there's negative and there's positive, so I'll have to crisscross some wires, but something like this. Well, yeah, this trim, I like it. It's cheap, it's not perfect, but it looks good. And the amplifiers look good as well. I like how it looks like. And I think I'm done for today because it's already close to 3. I'll have to pick up the little one. I have a mess to clean up and everything. So I did manage to wire only 2 amplifiers. I did put these here, the distribution blocks, left, right. So yes, it looks weird that on the ground side I have a fused distribution block, but I'm gonna keep it the same because I love the symmetry, how it looks like. So both of them are gonna be the same. If anybody knows where in the UK you can find the blank fuses, please let me know. I might buy those, but I have some like 200 amp fuses, so I'm gonna put those instead of the grounding plates. And on this side I'm gonna put proper fuses, so like probably 100 amps for this one, maybe 50-60 for that one, and 30 for the top ones. But yeah, this is pretty much something like this. So the negative is going around the battery in that side, this positive around the battery in this side, and when you're gonna close it, you can barely see anything, just a little bit. So all the mess that you can see when it's lifted up is literally not visible when it's closed. It's perfect. I have the ground going to the DC-DC charger. I haven't connected the charger to the battery yet, and I left these open as well. So I did use these fancy heat shrinks. Shout out to Crown Customs for, again, this lithium battery. And these heat shrinks come with a lithium battery. I have the negative, exactly the same, Crown Customs. They look very, very nice, even if you cannot see them, but little details. Here I put the fuse, the 300 amp fuse, on the distribution block rather than on the battery because it takes a lot of space, but it's literally, wow, not much, 3-4 inches. So 300 amp fuse from the lithium into the distribution, and then everything fused separately. And that's it for this week. I might do something a little bit in the evening if I'm gonna have some time, but I doubt it, probably not. So for this week, I'm very happy with the progress because I have something connected and nothing is gonna rattle. I hope I might run the power to these amplifiers at least once, so I could run the mid-ranges in the dash and just see how they play, because the only thing I need power to this amplifier and run RCAs to this, and pretty much I can run the front end, kinda. So I did manage to put a few more hours yesterday evening, but I didn't film it because it was late and dark, so it's the next day. I just want to show you what I did. So I did manage to wire another 2 amplifiers, the ones on the top. Let me just show you like this. So plus minus from both of them, going through those slits that I made here and here, and they go down into the distribution blocks. So for this one, I already put the fuses as well for all of them. So I have for the mids and tweeds, and mid bass, I put only 20 amp fuses. Then I put a 60 for the front subwoofer and potentially maybe rear fill. And for now, I have 100 for the taramps because I doubt it's gonna take more, but if it's gonna blow sometime, I'm just gonna put a 150 or whatever because it can draw from this battery as much as it wants. So the main thing with this wiring is that I wanted to make not as pretty, but as reliable and as solid as possible. So that's why it takes ages, because every connection is with a lug nut, even the ones on the top here. So these are lugs, they're not ferrules. The only ferrules that I had to use is here, because it's the only connection that I can make. I cannot put a lug nut in there, but everywhere else is lug nuts, and this one as well. So this amplifier and that one uses ferrules, but everything is with lug nuts. And this one, so as I mentioned, I did have 200 amp fuses, so you can still hear 200 amps. I just removed the plastic covers, and it's basically like a blank connection, so it's not gonna blow, but it looks good. So just like that. Now, in regards to the power wire size, everything is 4 gauge or less. So these main ones from the battery is 4 gauge. However, it's extremely short, both ground and that. So it's gonna be perfectly fine even for, like, I don't know, 200-300 amps. Yes, it is 4 gauge, but it's extremely short. Now I have a 4 gauge running to the 10 amps, this one, and another 4 gauge to that one. So for that one, it's overkill, 4 gauge. For this one, it's fine because again, the run is very short. The longest run for this one is the ground that goes around there, but it's totally fine. For this one, DC-DC charge is a 6 gauge, and for the amplifiers on the top, it's a 10 gauge. So 10 gauge is, you can see, it's very thin, but it's all of this cable is welding wire. It's not car audio cable. Now this one, the 6 gauge for DC-DC, is overkill. However, I need to still remember that the DC-DC charger gives constant 40 amps on max, whereas the amplifiers, depending on music, is just it peaks up and down, so it doesn't draw any constant current, apart from maybe like 10 amps, especially if it's you have like a very heavy bass notes. But this is the only thing that draws constant 40 amps. That's why a bit of thicker gauge. It could do with 10 gauge probably, but just for the safe side I put a bigger one. And today I would like to put the remote wires into the DSP and wire the DSP, because DSP is going to be wired from those terminals in the back. However, I'm not sure because I have this and I need to do the planters for the flowers, because I need to satisfy my wife as well. It's husband duties after all. So we'll see if I'm gonna manage to do something else today. A little bit of time jump, not to the next day, but to the next week. There's no pallets. The planters are done. Wife is happy. So I had to do this literally at night time because I cannot find the time at all to do anything. Like when it's daylight, I would prefer to do like any other videos where I have to film, but to do the wiring and everything, I try to film it bit by bit, but then it's just like, man, it takes so much time, it's so long. So yesterday I went to sleep after midnight, but I finally finished it. So finished in a way that everything is connected, and I hope everything is gonna work. I didn't test it yet, but it should work, everything. The only thing that I will need to redo is the RCAs, because now I just put whatever I had. I didn't want to redo them, but you can see they're way too long, so I'll just need to make them shorter. The speaker wise, everything is done in a way that it doesn't look super clean, but it is very rigid and everything is mounted properly. So I have these, I don't know if like here probably you can see, I have these like U-shaped that I bought them from AliExpress, that you screw it in with the wood screw and then zip tie on top. And again, you can see the zip ties, you can see everything, but everything is tied up, nothing is moving. I did put some oil on these hinges because it was creaking quite a lot. Now it's not creaking anymore. So everything is like this. I run the remote wire. Basically everything is done. Everything should work. The other thing that I did is I taped all the loose connectors with some electrical tape. So it's not going to rattle or anything. This one is taped, the positive tape, negative taped, like this. This one is taped. These top amplifiers as well, like this is taped. It's not like for competition or anything, it's just to be safe, on the safe side, so nothing would short. Nothing will short, but just to be on the safe side. I put those connectors over there. I love these connectors, the blocks, because if I want to test something, it's just easier to disconnect than go all the way up to the amplifier. Now these, when they go on hinges, you can see that these bend, and I did them in a way that they would have some slack to bend this and this side. These RCAs, they're super flexible. You can see they're very bendy. So everything that's happening here, it's not an issue. I could bend it 100 times and nothing will happen at all. Man, these crows. There's one crow that keeps attacking my cat all the time. So my cat sits on the fence and the crow is like literally next to it, and it does that every bloody morning. I hate that crow. If I would have a gun, like a BB gun or something, I would literally shoot that crow. It's so annoying every morning. Anyway, this is pretty much done. As long as everything's functional, everything is correct. So the thing that I didn't show you is I took 12 volts from here for the DSP and I put an inline 2 amp fuse, which is, I will still need to fix it somewhere. If I can pull it out, this one, there we go. So just a 2 amp fuse for because the amp draws about half an amp of current. So this is going to be 2 amp. I just need to figure out how to fix it so it wouldn't rattle in there. Then I have these wires from the relays to connect the DC, to control the DC-DC charger. What else? Everything goes here, and everything kind of how it should be. I left these, I made these spare wires for the channel 3 and 4 for this amplifier because it's a 4-channel amplifier. So I'm still planning to maybe connect, I don't know, maybe the rears for the wife, or maybe a second pair of mid bass, because why not? I have 2 spare channels, so we'll need to run the RCAs as well, because I have those. You can see there's spare ones, and this is way too long, so I'll have to shorten it. But for now, again, it's just, it works. This is not pinching anything, everything is fine. These I will need to fix them somehow a little bit. The RCAs are mishmash, but again, I will need to redo them properly with the correct lengths. But for now, it's gonna do. These side panels and everything else is gonna have to wait for a bit, because my priority now is just do some more other testing. And all the beauty stuff, everything can wait. So for this boot build, that's kind of it for now. Stay tuned, and thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.